this week has quite literally been the week from hell. I am so happy that I can share my journey. I'm so happy that I can be open about my healing and what has happened and how it comes into my everyday life. But what I wasn't prepared for is it brings up all those emotions to the surface. And I thought that I'd moved through them and I thought that I fully healed them. But this week, it has kicked me in the ass. And I think as well, you know, I share these things and not everyone's going to be okay with it and not everyone's going to be happy about it. And I respect it. And I also understand that. And as someone who is trying to recover from being a people pleaser, that hits hard. But I've also realised, as per Miley Cyrus's quote, that I actually really love, and I'm going to read to you right now. So if you ever struggle to move past these barriers of being a people pleaser and not hurting people's feelings, Miley Cyrus said, "I don't speak badly of you. I simply talk about what you did to me, and if that makes you look bad, that's not my issue anymore." So I think from that, and I know from that, what I take is, I am speaking my truth. I am being honest and vulnerable in the attempt to help people, in the attempt to make people feel less alone, and in the attempt to be honest and end the stigma of the need to hold these things in and be scared to share your story. Everything I share is complete honesty, complete transparency, and a way of me actually healing from what I've gone through. So there's obviously a selfish element in there as well, which is okay, and I will admit that 100%. But what I will not take any responsibility for anymore, and what I will not fear, is being honest, being open, sharing my story, fearing the backlash, managing other people's emotions rather than actually honouring my own by actually expressing myself. But at that moment in time, I was past getting any validation. I was past having any sort of emotional response to it. All I wanted or would have appreciated at that point in time was accountability. And sadly, accountability was not given. And at that point for me, I was like, do you know what? I've done what I can do. I've taken the emotional distance. I've tried to express to you how I feel. And you've literally projected it onto me like it's a me problem. But I refuse, going forward, to take on people's deflections. So if it wasn't my fault and I'm holding you accountable and I'm telling you how it made me feel, the moment you turn it around on me, the moment you deflect, is the moment that I tap out. I am all about protecting my peace going forward in life, and I am all about healing and having a happier life without any chaos, without any drama. Because let's be honest, if you've grown up in this situation, you didn't ask for this, but you also don't deserve it. And what happened to you is not your responsibility, but it is your responsibility to heal it. Or you risk being dragged back into all these toxic cycles, which is exactly what I'm not going to be doing. I am going to become that person that should have protected me as a child. I am going to become that woman that breaks any negative, toxic patterns. And I am going to use my voice to help anyone struggling, anyone that might be at a young age going through the same sort of dynamic. And on this channel, I love to encourage people to become their authentic self. I love to encourage and motivate people to become their best self, but also being your virtual cheerleader, because you deserve the best and you deserve to live a happy, healthy life. So if that sounds like your vibe, I would love if you could like and subscribe. And if this content's not for you, I don't take it personally. Scroll along, and I wish you have a lovely day. But anyway, when it comes to accountability, I think for the longest time, when I was younger, I chased the validation. I chased the expectation of my feelings being validated. I'm here to tell you that the validation that you are so desperately seeking is very much deserved. But being honest with you, it might never come. And that is in no way reflection of you. That is in no way reflection of your worth. That is just sadly someone's inability to actually look at themselves and recognise their errors. So the best thing you can do, although it's hard, although it might feel like it's too difficult. The best thing you can do is validate it for yourself. Say to yourself, what I went through was not okay. The pain I experienced was horrible and it didn't feel nice. I trusted that person and they let me down. What I'm feeling right now is uncomfortable and that is okay. What happened to me is not acceptable and I'm okay with that. I accept that. Someone else's actions are not your fault. You can only control your own actions. You can only control what you do. And of course, if you make a mistake, you're going to do that. That's going to happen. That's part of being human. But I guarantee you're the type of person that will take that accountability. Because if, like me, at points you were the scapegoat, you are so mindful. My car just turns off. Hang on a second. You are so mindful of not making someone feel like they fucked up if it's you. You're instantly go, do you know what? That was my error. Because you know what it feels like for every problem to be pinned on you. You know what it feels like to be the scapegoat, to be the person that absorbs all of the issues. Like, one of the things that I really struggled with when I was younger was silent treatment. So I remember there was one occasion where I think I misbehaved as a child. Like, we're all naughty, like, I'm cheeky Charlie, do you know what I mean? I can't even remember what it was. But rather than coming over to me and be like, you can't do that, that's not okay, or just telling me, straight up, you're being a naughty child, there was silent treatment. There was cold energy, cold behaviour. And that would have happened. I mean, I can only remember flashbacks from my childhood. I can't remember a lot of it. But what I can remember from the silent treatment is there was one day that I misbehaved for some reason. And rather than addressing it, or rather than telling me what I did wrong, there was silent treatment. It was met with stonewalling, not talking to me. So me being a child, trying to act out, I was like, okay, well, I lived in Spain, so there was a nice little pool. So to act out with that pool, I was like, right, I'm going to get in the pool because I know that's going to cause a reaction. I know I'm going to get the attention that I want. So I jumped up in that pool, and then lo and behold, it was a get out the pool, what are you doing? But it's because it was silent treatment. And the problem with silent treatment is, what you don't realise is it carries into your adult life. There has been so many occasions that I am still working through where someone will go silent. And it's not as much now when it comes to like friendships and stuff. Like friendships, I'm fine. If you go silent, you go silent. I'm secure in that. But when it comes to romantic relationships, if you go silent, I am like, what the hell have I done wrong? Or to be fair, actually, in general day-to-day basis, if I know someone's quite happy and chirpy, if they all of a sudden go silent, I automatically go to, what have I done wrong? And old me, before I realised this pattern, used to want to fix it, used to want to go like, is everything okay? New me, as uncomfortable as it is, I just ride it out. Because I do think to myself, I'm like, do you know what? If someone's going to use silent treatment on me, that's a method of manipulation. And that is just so toxic. And back in the day, before I realised all of this, I would definitely use silent treatment as a method to tell someone or show someone that they did me wrong. But it's not until you realise how damaging this is. And from a young age, having that happen, how much it can actually affect you as an adult, that it's not okay. It is detrimental to someone's mental health. And if you're someone right now, as a parent, using silent treatment as a method to show you're annoyed or communicate that they've really wound you up, this is your sign to stop. This is your sign to cool off. Like, obviously you're going to need to cool off, but this is your sign to take that step back and just say, mummy needs 5 minutes. Or, I mean, I'm not a parent, so I don't know how you would approach this with a child. I'm just saying how it made me feel. But communicating that actually I'm not like, ignoring you or whatever, and then going back when you're cool and talking about what it is that's happened and what it is that's annoyed you, rather than leaving the silence to fill the gaps. And I know people are going to be like, you don't have kids, you don't know what it's like. No, I don't know what it's like. I absolutely do not. This is me sharing to you from a kid's point of view how much it will affect them, not just as a child, but as a 30-year-old adult. So the next time you use silent treatment towards your child, towards anyone, just remember what it can do to someone and how much it can fuck with them. It then sets you into that hypervigilance moment. Like, I constantly, my day would be changed, or like I would always notice my mum's behaviour. Like, I'd always notice if she was in a bad mood and think, okay, today it's going to be a bit rocky. It was always dictated by her moods. And like, I would always remember that my dad would come on holiday, well, not on holiday because obviously he's my dad, but he would come back off work every 6 weeks to come and see us in Spain. And rather than walking in and being like, hi everybody, how you doing? Because obviously he would feel a certain type of way from being away from us and would probably feel a bit of frustration. Rather than actually taking that time away and processing that, he would come into the house and shout and scream the house down where it wasn't tidy and where it wasn't clean. And when I tell you, I used to dread him coming over every 6 weeks. I used to hate it, and I still think about it now. And I'm not going to lie to you, sometimes I still feel a little bit on edge in situations. Like, if someone wants to sneak up on me, I'm like, ooh. And obviously, as people anyway, if someone sneaks up on you, it's scary, or like you jump. But that has stuck with me, and the way that has made me feel is not great. Like, it's not great. And like I said to you, I used to dread those every 6 weeks. I thought, here we go again, here we go again. And no way, shape or form is that okay. And I do feel like later on in life, he took accountability for that a little bit. But again, the next time you want to communicate to your child and you start shouting and screaming at them just because you can't regulate your own emotions, just know what that does to a child. Just know what that does to a person. I remember actually, because there was a lot of shouting. Like, that wasn't just like, that's an isolated incident. I do feel like there was a lot of shouting in the household growing up. And I remember being in a therapy session and I was talking to her about the documentary Monsters. And I was saying to her, I was like, I find it really attractive when he is shouting. Like, I find it quite hot when he is just shouting at people aggressively. Like, she was like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And at the time, I didn't realise it's probably because that was what I grew up with, or those were things I experienced. But to her, it's probably like, oh my God, you find that kind of toxic dynamic attractive. And no wonder I used to attract really toxic dynamics. Like, in my early 20s, I was in a relationship with someone who, don't get me wrong, was also very young, also trying to navigate life. So I don't hold this against him at all. But he would shout at me. Like, he would get frustrated. And I'm sure I would also shout back. So I'm not trying to say I'm perfect here. But I accepted that dynamic, and I accepted being spoken to like that, because I thought that was a form of love. Like, I thought that was normal for your loved one or like your boyfriend or whatever to shout at you. And it's only as I've got older I've gone, oh shit, like, a guy shouting at you is no way acceptable. Like, the chaotic, angry, shouty kind of dynamic is not healthy. It is so toxic and bad for you. And sadly, when I would speak to that person's parent about it and say, your son's shouting at me, they'd say it's just them blowing off steam. And now I look back at my 30s, I think, oh my God, well, that is awful. But then I would see his dad shouting at him and his mum. Or like, I'd see him shouting when he got annoyed. So again, it's trickling down. And another occasion with that person, I remember once I was in Egypt and I lost my luggage. So I didn't lose my luggage, but I'm a little bit like in my own well kind of vibe. And I was in Egypt and I remember, and again, I get it, the airport's a little bit dodgy, but I left my luggage, I think it was in the security bit. And I just remember walking around going, oh crap, like, oh no. And I was like to him, I was like, oh, I've left my luggage over in security. And rather than going, okay, let's go and get it, that's fine, like, you probably shouldn't do that, like, that's dangerous. He shouted at me in front of his whole family, in front of everyone. And when I say that was the most embarrassing, upsetting situation I have ever experienced, it probably isn't, but it was not nice at the time. And I remember just crying my eyes out and I was like, oh my God. And bless him, his uncle was like talking to him like, you can't do that, you can't go through that, you can't speak to her like that, that is not okay. But again, for me, because I grew up with the shouting and that environment, for me it was normal. And the problem is, I didn't just have that with one parent, like one dad. I had a dad before that, which I haven't spoken to in like 20 years, who was not a friendly, nice guy. Like, I don't remember him at all, if I'm honest, but I just know that, again, he was abusive in multiple ways. So I never really stood a chance in these, like, romantic, healthy relationships. But the problem is, my dad, the one that I lived with, the one that I went through, you know, my teens and stuff with, I never realised until adulthood that I never really had a deep conversation with him. And that's no fault of his own. That's where he is and where he's at in life. And that maybe that wasn't a capacity and a capability. But I remember that I would always crave that from other men. I would always, and again, this is something I've reflected on as I've healed. I've gone, why did I always try and attach myself to men and have deep, meaningful conversations with them? And it's because that's what I've always craved. Like, I have always craved to be that daddy's girl that goes up to him and hugs him and just, you know, feels protected from the world. And I just didn't feel like that. And again, I don't hold that against him. I'm not saying this to be negative about him. I'm purely sharing this experience to say, if you're going through this right now, or if you are in a relationship that is shouting and screaming and, you know, is emotionally unavailable and you can't have deep conversations with, this might be where it's coming from. It might be that you grew up not having those deep conversations, not talking about your emotions, and not feeling that deep daddy-daughter love. Like, daddy issues is a thing nowadays. I don't have one daddy issue, I have two. Double daddy issues. But again, guys, it doesn't have to define you. If you're noticing you're going for guys or accepting guys shouting in your face, if you're noticing that you're going for guys based off of chaos, like the ups and downs, the anxiety spikes, that is you going for someone emotionally unavailable. That is you reaching for connection just to fill that void, to feel loved. And I don't want you to feel embarrassed about it. I don't want you to feel bad about it. But from what I hear and from the friendships I have, love is unconditional. You don't have to perform for it. You don't have to chase after it. And you most certainly don't have to act out for it. It should be gentle. It should be soft. You should feel at ease. You shouldn't feel anxious. And I'm not perfect. I'm still learning this. Recently, I found myself in a dynamic where I was like, oh, are they interested? Are they not interested? And back in the day, I would have really held on to it for a long time. But what am I doing now? Now I'm noticing those mixed signals. So it's confusing signals and stepping back. I will match someone's energy. If they show interest and it's consistent, then okay, we can talk, we can play ball. But if it's hot and cold and it's great behaviour 1 minute, then shitty behaviour the next, ciao for now. I can't be dealing with that. It's so important that you set those standards and you hold yourself to them. And if you fall back, it's okay. Like I said to you, I am learning this. I am still in the midst of this. I am learning to protect my peace. I'm learning to not chase validation and attention from men. So you're not alone. But I also do think it's so good to know where it actually comes from. And knowing that if you're attracting these unemotional available guys, there is probably part of you that's a bit emotionally unavailable, as much as you don't want to hear it. Like, if someone said that to me, I'd be like, don't tell me that. But love should literally be, you're interested, I'm interested, we're not playing games, I'm not feeling anxious, I should just feel calm. I should feel secure, and there should be no mixed signals. If there are mixed signals, hot and cold behaviour, confusion, like the quote says, if he likes you, you'll know. If you're confused, he doesn't like you. Then do yourself a favour, protect your peace, and walk away. Because let's be honest, the only reason you want to stay is out of attachment. You think to yourself, if I let go of this person that I finally found, and again, this could come from the daddy issues, I finally found this guy that's paying me the attention that I've always wanted. If I let him go, then I'm never going to meet someone again. I'm never going to feel this level of connection again. That is your attachment style creeping up on you. And I have covered attachment styles on this channel, but I noticed that I had anxious avoidance. So I would really crave someone's presence and to get close to me. But as soon as they got close to me, I'd be like, no, move away, I'm scared. And again, that will come from what I've grown up with, which I've obviously spoken about in this video. but it might come out into other videos. Like, if I'm honest, these videos don't have a script. Like, I don't have anything that I'm following. I just have a thought process that I want to talk about it, and I just talk. That's how you know it's honest as well, because literally I don't have time and like the craftsmanship to make it up. I'm bringing it up on the spot. But yeah, if you're experiencing any of that, do yourself a favour. Know that the car again is turning off. Shh. Know that I'm trying to keep my aircon on because it's really hot, and this is just my favourite place to record. But just know that if you're experiencing any of that, protecting your peace is so much more important. And by you leaving a relationship and connection, you're not going to miss out on love, because you deserve love. But also, if part of you is craving love to fill a void, it's time you heal, my darling. And I feel like that's where I've been. Like, literally, I've kind of forced myself into, not forced myself, but I felt like I needed to kind of go into a bit of isolation this week to process everything that I was talking about. Because again, I thought, do you know what, I'm talking about it, I'm over it now. No, not over it. There was another level. And that's the thing with healing. Healing isn't linear. Healing will kick you in the ass. But I am learning to be softer with myself. I'm learning to give myself the love that I felt like I lacked. I'm learning to be gentle with myself. I used to always think, again, trying to be the strong one, which I spoke about in my previous video, I used to think to myself that I had to be the strong one. So if I showed any sort of softness, that it was weakness. But this week I have full on allowed myself to feel that softness, to feel that sadness, and to just not force myself out of the mood. As horrible, guys, as it has been this week has been horrible. Like, there has been times where I've sat there and felt so like, I can't do this is too hard, like, when is this gonna end? But it's part of the journey, and it doesn't feel great. And I'm not going to sit here and sparkle and rainbow it. It's horrid. And I don't know when I'm going to start to feel myself again and start to have my sparkle back. But guys, honestly, I want to share this to bring happiness, but also bring awareness. And if you're attracting these relationships with these guys, with the things I said, I want you to catch yourselves in your track. If you're with someone right now that is shouting and screaming at you and chipping away at your self-worth, it's not acceptable. You don't deserve that treatment. You don't deserve that kind of communication. It's not okay. It's not acceptable. Someone should not be talking to you in that way. If someone is unable to regulate their own emotions before speaking to you, they need to look at themselves. They need to look at themselves and learn to regulate. They need to look at themselves and go, I am not handling this in the right way. This is someone in front of me that I am supposed to love, and I'm shouting and screaming at their face? No, I can tell you now that no matter how annoyed I am about a situation, no matter how frustrated I am about a situation, even if it's someone that I don't even like, I am not going to go guns blazing and shouting and screaming at them. I am going to speak about it and regulate myself to people that I trust, and then approach it if I want to approach it. Or do you know what? If they don't deserve the time of day, then just remove them out of my life. There is no way, shape or form that I am going to use that kind of behaviour. And why is that? Because I grew up with that behaviour and I know how it made me feel, and it is not nice, and it is not the way to do it. And like I've said, not everyone's going to agree with you. People are going to dislike you. People are not going to agree with your healing journey. People are not going to support you and be behind you that you thought that they might be. That's okay. You have to learn, or at least I'm learning, not to be fully liked by people. And that is hard. For someone that felt like they had to hold it all together when they were younger and had to keep the peace, when you finally aren't doing that, it is hard. But it doesn't mean that it's wrong. It means that you're healing that side of you, and it means that you're breaking that pattern. Because by you sitting there holding yourself back and not speaking up or not being honest with yourself, you're abandoning yourself to put other people before you and make other people comfortable. And I'm just not about that in life anymore. I will understand where someone's coming from. If I do something shitty, then I'll take accountability. But I also tend to be mindful of how something might make someone feel. But I'm not perfect, so I'm going to make mistakes. I'll probably upset people. And if I upset people and it's not intentional, then I'll take accountability, because there's no way I want to make someone feel a certain type of way. But if it's in the way of my progression, my growth, and my moving forward, and it makes you feel uncomfortable and sad, I understand that, I appreciate that, but it's not going to stop me, because I'm going to keep going, because this is something I used to do for myself. And this is a pure example of you being okay with not being liked by everyone. Not everyone can come on every part of your journey with you. It doesn't mean it's wrong. It doesn't mean there's anything wrong with you. It just means that sometimes you have to be okay with people disagreeing with you, people different in an opinion, and just overall having to put yourself first. Because again, the right people will support your growth and help you push forward. Anyone that's holding you back, you can be respectful and move on and do what's right for you. As long as your intentions are not to hurt someone and they're pure, you have to be okay with being disliked. Break that pattern of people pleasing, guys. Break that pattern of keeping the peace. You are number one, baby. Be respectful, be kind, but don't shrink yourself to make yourself more digestible. Turn that pain into power. And I hope you have a lovely rest of your week. If you're going for a hard time right now and you're struggling, I get you, but it will pass. What comes after a storm? Beautiful rainbow. And I just hope you have a lovely rest of your day, and ciao for now, Bellas.